one part of pages, a small one for the object storage. That's it. And it's in review. Hopefully it get in today. It's already on the second iteration. By the way, redirects kind of got merged in tests option, at least, just like 18 minutes ago.
Yay! I have the release post created, so I think it's gone through the first set of reviews, so we'll get it in for the release post before the batch on the 18th. So we should be good for announcing that. And I'll probably do
already live.
Oh yeah. Welcome to our 18th Think Big. This is the EMEA US time zone. I'm here with Vlad. It's just us two. I have a couple of topics on the agenda. One of them, Sean posted, we'll wait to see if he's going to join. But the other one I wanted to talk about was release evidence. I'll go ahead and drop an issue in the chat. And I'll go ahead and present my screen and we can talk through it a little bit. So I learned recently that release evidence has a couple of limitations around performance. One of them being when we used to include issues and MRs, it was a really big file and has the opportunity to be a really large file. And then I learned the compliance team has this feature called a chain of custody report, which is all of the merge commit SHA, merge request ID, user, pipeline ID, project, all of the details that we would want for release evidence inside of a CSV file. So instead of adding merge request data to the release evidence, I'm wondering if there's a way for us to append this chain of custody report to release evidence. What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, having trouble unmuting myself. Yeah, actually good idea. I like it. I haven't looked much at this compliance report. Is it generated by the pipeline inside GitLab or what?
Yeah, I think it is. It is a CSV file though, so I'm not quite sure if they're just if they export it as a, like if they generate JSON and then export it as a CSV to the front end first, or like I'm not sure if they ever populate a JSON raw file to the front end or if it's just a CSV.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I guess I need to spend a little time looking at what it is. But if it's generated by the pipeline and it's a report, then it's kind of already included in the evidence by the issue we worked on a few months ago, which was included in artifacts. So if it worked the same way, it's kind of already there, but only a link to this compliance report. If we want to include, to be honest, like in ideal future, I would just like to have a zip archive instead of the JSON file for the release evidence. Mm-hmm. And it kind of comes naturally. You just put this CSV archive, CSV file in this archive, and you don't need to do anything with it. So like, in ideal world, I would like to do it this way. We also obviously can just escape it and put it in one giant string field in the JSON, or we can decode it and present it in some other way. There's like other options. And anyway, if currently we generate release evidence by the time when release is created, so we probably needs actually if it's an artifact inside the pipeline, there will be a small limitation that it should be created before release is created. Or there is another issue about waiting for the pipeline with release to finish. This way we can work around this also. Yeah, that's some initial thoughts.
That's awesome. That gives me a good perspective there. I see that one of the items you've added to the parking lot Think Big, hierarchical deploy boards. Do you want to talk a little bit about that item?
Oh, actually, I'm not sure if it was on the specifically on the parking lots. We just were discussing it at some point and at some other Think Big session. And I'm trying to remember what it was about. Yeah, actually, kind of hard to remember. It was something about this group environments. Something like you have we already have a deploy boards, right? For at least if you use Auto DevOps, for example, with Kubernetes, right? And we were speaking about environments, like group environments, right? To see which is on which stage different jobs in different projects, different pipelines in different projects for the same environment. If you have front end and back end in different projects, then you have a production environment for both of them.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I like the idea when I first heard about this group environment dashboard was that maybe we can use these deploy boards somehow to make them like hierarchical. So basically move them to the group level as well. But that was just an idea. And to be honest, I touched deploy boards more than a year ago last time. So I don't have a good idea how they even work right now. So maybe not the best idea. It was just a thought in the discussion. I'm not sure how it ended up in the parking lot, to be honest.
That's okay. I think it was a good idea. It's something that we've been thinking about in our 3-year vision mocks, like creating a swim lane view of our environments so that you can transition your different environments through those production on its path to production. I'm trying to find the mocks that Dimitri and Hyana have been working on, and I'll show my screen in just a little bit. Yeah.
I saw the smokes on the team meeting one day. They looked pretty good.
Yeah. Can you see the smock right here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So this is kind of like creating a deploy board for non-Kubernetes environments, because the deploy board we do have works really great when you have cluster management and you're incrementally rolling out to clusters. Not so great if you just have a series of AWS URLs, right? So hopefully we can build something more like this inside of our dashboard view. I like what you're thinking there, though. That makes a lot of sense. So other thoughts that I've been talking about with customers recently, one of them is around Runbooks. So users are really looking for ways to orchestrate and plan, well, not really plan, more like scheduled deployments. So they want to be able to say that this is a pre-release and they want to schedule it for deployment upon approval on a certain day to a particular environment. And they want to set these steps up inside of the front end of GitLab. And they want to be able to automate these jobs. So if they have like a bunch of merge requests that get merged into their application, they want to batch all of those merge requests and have their master pipeline and then promote all of that to their production environment on a particular date. So it kind of combines a couple of different features that we're thinking about into a workflow. And what we're thinking about is using an issue type to help users organize those tasks. What do you think about that?
To be honest, I'm not super familiar with what we done about the Runbooks feature. Issue type, yeah, I mean, it kind of, people already do that, right? We do that for pages, we do that for our own releases, including security releases. So it kind of makes sense. I'm not sure if we need a specific issue type. One thing that crossed my mind, like when you were describing just a minute ago, you said that people want to schedule deployment in the future. What it sounds like for me is that basically like we want to create a pipeline, but run it like next Monday or something like that.
Exactly.
As far as I know, we don't have this capability right now. You can create like manual jobs, a lot of them. And then, I mean, you can have like automatic pipeline prefixed by one manual job, which is kind of the same, right? Maybe that's the way to go, by the way. So what I see like a super small hack is that just having some kind of button or link in the issue on maybe checkbox, which will just run this, let's say, just build in the pipeline. So if you create a pipeline, first job in which will be manual, so it won't trigger anything when you create it. But when you like press the, when you in the issue, let's say, check the checkbox or something, and it has a specific link for a job or something, then this job will be started. It will do nothing, but it will unlock the whole pipeline. So, but I don't know. At the same time, it kind of sounds crazy a little and
Well,
too complicated.
Because it's creating like a framework for steps in automation that people are already building into pipelines. But it's like people are asking for a manual intervention to then track the sequence of these steps. So you're absolutely right. Like it does seem a little legacy. It doesn't seem as mature in continuous delivery as it could be. But organizations who have formal release managers often look to an individual to pull the trigger for a production deployment. So this would be a feature that would help facilitate that kind of workflow. I like this idea of, and why I thought a specific kind of issue type for a runbook is so that we could tailor like issue approvals for a runbook. So we'd create like an approval workflow for runbook issue types. I think inside of the general schema, the team would like to defer approvals to merge requests and not have like an approval workflow inside of issues. But if it's a different kind of issue, that may not be as controversial, because
Yeah,
a runbook has sequences and steps, and you'd want to gain different ways of gating various activities inside of this pretty much big pipeline for your deployment. And it's tied to eventually scheduling your deployment at the end, or multiple deployments, because it could be you're wanting to tie all of your deployments for your application from this one runbook.
Yeah, but do we have approvals for issues right now?
That would be part of like this feature that we build.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a big chunk of work. One other idea which crossed my mind is that maybe we need to create some kind of virtual steps in the pipeline, which won't actually be executed on the run. Like, for example, right now people use this to make these approvals. When they create a manual job with environment, and environment is protected. Maybe we need some kind of just like, currently this job does nothing, right? It just is there to press a button.
Right.
and only certain people can do that. But maybe we can actually enhance this somehow. Just create a virtual step in the pipeline and say that this, like, I don't know, only these people are allowed to press this button. Maybe some groups or something like that. I don't know.
Which I think we support today. I think the action that would be different here is triggering that from an issue, or triggering that, like pressing that button from a different place. So let's say that your pipeline runs and your application has built, you've aggregated all these changes from these different projects, and now they're going to this group, and this group is going to release to a production deployment. Like, we're way in the future. We already support shared environments, like that kind of thing. A user gets an email notification to approve a production deployment. This email notification would allow them to click this approve button, and it would bring them to a runbook issue, which would then enable them to either approve or reject. When they hit approve, that would press the play button today on the manual protected job that's in that pipeline view. In my head, that's like how that would work.
Would it be like, I mean, currently, if we look at the merge request approval pattern, what we have there is that we have approval rules for specific changes for code. So like specific people need to approve if this was changed. We also have a restriction that like only certain people can approve, and we have a restriction for number of like you need 5 people to approve this before it gets merged, right? So when we speak about the runbooks, probably like it's okay for you to deploy to your dev environment without any approval, right? And maybe you need some kind of approval to deploy to staging. And maybe you need a very different kind of approval to deploy the final production, right? And something in the middle, like partial production or something like that. So like our current pattern for approvals doesn't really fit, because like different people need to approve different steps. It's not just like 5 people need to approve them. Maybe like for the first step, you only need 1 approval. For the last one, you need, I don't know, 10 approvals from all the company.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because each step in a runbook could be a different pipeline in a different project. Like, it doesn't have to be a runbook for a single project. The runbook could live at a group and could be across 100 projects.
Okay. So like what we basically can do today, like just trying to implement all this logic on what we already have. We can have different, like let's say we have it. Let's start with one pipeline, right? And so let's say staging and production, and 2 different approvals. And we can use the same pattern we currently have for these empty jobs, which with protected environments on them. And then in the issue, we can just have links to these jobs, right? And then the runbook will be just an issue template. We don't have a good idea how to populate these links automatically. But basically, yeah, you need to create a pipeline, create an issue from the template, and put a couple links there. It won't work as like what you described. I mean, it won't send an email to user or anything.
Oh yeah, totally.
Until they pinged or something. I don't know. Sounds actually what you were describing sounds very complex and like far away from what we have right now.
Which is okay, because we're in a think big. We're meant to talk about that. And then what you're doing is like abstracting the end state back to something that reuses things that we have today. Because what we've been telling people who are looking for runbooks are to leverage READMEs in their repositories to document steps for their repositories and share those READMEs across their projects manually. And then also leveraging wikis as a collection of documentation of steps. And then, of course, we share like the runner project release checklist as an example of people using issues as a checklist for coordinating releases. But the actions and the fit and finish that people would like to see in order for us to be competitive against the current tool sets in the market, they're expecting things like workflow management, approvals across multiple teams, being able to coordinate multi-repo actions. So you're absolutely right. Like this isn't just a milestone worth of work. This is probably a year's worth of work that I'm talking about. And it could be more if we add a bunch of different features, but it's this just idea of being competitive in the runbook space that people are asking about. But you're absolutely right. Like we have a paradigm for approvals that we need to think through today. How do we want to leverage things like merge request approval workflow inside of Runbooks? Is that something that we want to leverage? That's definitely something I can think about instead of recreating an approval workflow inside of issues. So that's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, also I was I was comparing what you described to the merge request approval, because currently a lot of code, I guess, is shared between merge requests and issues, especially around assignees block. So probably it would be easier to do the same for approvals, but yeah, actually it doesn't feel like it's a good fit for runbooks, at least. Maybe for some other kind of issues. I don't know, for example, when you want to get a new laptop and you need an approval from your manager.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a totally different thing.
Oh, I like that though. That makes sense. Let's see. Do you have any other topics? Otherwise, I can give you time back.
No, I don't have anything. I just joined because I had time.
I like it. Well, thank you for spending some time with me. I appreciate it. I'm sad that no one else was able to join. I guess people are getting less excited about our Think Bid. We do got a lot of things on our plate though, so I get it.
Yeah, it's one day at the end of the release, so
yeah,
I
exactly.
guess people are busy.
That's true. Well, thank you, Vlad, for joining. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Jackie.